Hi, this is JP Morgan.
And this is Kenneth Merrill.
Today on the Sun Lens, we're going to take a look at a format comparison between the major formats that are out there on the market.
Yeah, we're going to shoot a full frame sensor, a crop sensor, a micro four thirds sensor, and a medium format sensor. The cameras we're shooting today are the Sony A7 RIII, the Sony A6600, the Panasonic GH5, and the Hasselblad X1D II.
I want to blow these things up into 24-inch wide prints by however they scale out, and just look at the detail you see in each one of these sensors, and does it really deliver what you expect it will? I mean, you think, of course, a GH5 compared to a Hasselblad, you know, it's going to be a major difference. Well, sometimes obvious things aren't that obvious.
I also want to shoot a scene with high dynamic range and see how all the sensors compare in that scenario.
We're going to shoot a shot of the sun going down tonight so we can just really see low light and beautiful colors as that sun goes down, the building's coming on. That'll be a pretty shot. We'll make those prints, comparisons, see what we got.
So let's get to it.
Let's get to it because my mask is falling off my nose. Let's go! So as we said, we went out and shot last night as the sun was going down the freeways of Los Angeles. Idea is to get just a really nice image with great colors and to just see how that looks when we print it up. We print them all up now, but let's talk about our setup, how we set these up.
Yeah, so we had the 4 cameras lined up right next to each other, and we put all the exposure settings exactly the same. So all these images were taken at f8 with a 1-second shutter. And they were all taken within about a half second of each other, depending on when the timers went off.
Hitting all the buttons.
But as you'll see, the images are all pretty much identical. We did have to color match them in post. They came out of the box a little different, so we did have to match them in post. I think we did a pretty good job, but there are still some subtle differences we could talk about.
So this is always a hard process when you decide you're going to take an image, you're going to make a big print, and you want the print to look like what you see on your monitor. The first thing you got to do using the Spyder X is we are going to calibrate our monitor so that we know that our monitor is calibrated. Once we've calibrated the monitor, we're going to run test prints through the software you have with Datacolor, and it's going to help us to know if the nozzles are clean on our printer and that we're going to get decent color out of our printer. Next, we're going to print out a color test on our Hanamule paper. So this is the paper we're trying to match when our screen, we're going to get what we see on our screen out of our printer on this paper. So once we run our test on our paper, I'm going to simply put this on here, and we're going to, connecting this to our computer, we're going to go through and we're going to click on each one of these colors. We're going to go through the process to be able to match this through the program that Datacolor has so that the monitor is going to match our printer. So a little bit of a process, but it's worth the time if you're going to start making prints to go through this process with a Datacolor setup so you really get what you're seeing on your monitor. First blush, you look at it and think, wow, they all look pretty good. But let's just see exactly what we do think each one. Let's start with the Hasselblad on the large end.
Let's do it.
So here's our Hasselblad print, and you know what? First off, the color is very nice on this. The reds are very strong. The detail is fabulous. It's a 50 megapixel sensor on a medium format.
There's a lot of color separation here. I mean, first of all, like the reds up here, it's amazing. I mean, this is a light source, so on a lot of cameras, this would just kind of turn white because it's really bright and saturated, but the Hasselblad holds it. It's just straight red. I also really like this building because at the top it's this really cool blue, and then as it gets lower towards the street and all the street lights and stuff, you see the warmth come in. And again, with a lot of cameras, you won't see that transition. It'll all look just kind of the same. Yeah,
I mean, that is really a beautiful transition. And it's open. It's open shadows. It's just a beautiful look into those open shadows. Very pretty.
I also just like the Hasselblad lenses. They have these really cool, clean star flares, which are really nice.
It's not too many. It's just a nice, clean look. Yeah. So, and if you look at the detail right down here at the 9th Street, 8th Street, I mean, it's pretty clean.
Yeah, pretty clean. There's a lot of detail on this camera.
So this is the A7 RIII, which is interesting because it's a larger megapixel sensor.
Yeah, more resolution.
Smaller sensor.
Yeah, I was interested to see how this turned out because on the one hand you could say it would print better because of the resolution. It'll be a little more clear, but it is a smaller sensor. So, what do you think?
Well, first off, I mean, if you look at the red, we don't keep the color like in that red neon like we had in here. The deep blue in the building, we just don't have the same color punch.
Not quite as much. Again, with that building, the warmth, the transition is there, but it's not as strong.
Yeah. It seems that this kind of just becomes, now that's part of color science there as well, isn't it? Versus sensor.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're looking at the way the color's been rendered and not just sensor detail. But if I look at right here at the 9th and 8th Street sign,
still pretty clear.
Still pretty dang clear.
Pretty clear. I do see, if you look at the Wedbush and the LA Care, they are a little more fuzzy than they are with the Hasselblad.
I think you're right. Yep. I think you're right.
I'm not sure what that means, but it's something.
I'm not sure either. All right, so now let's go over here. This is the A6600. So this is a crop sensor.
So this sensor is really tiny compared to the Hasselblad sensor. If you just look at the sensors, it's almost astounding how small this is.
It really is. It's tiny.
Again, the Wedbush and LA care signs are even more fuzzy on this.
I'm having a hard time now. The 9th and 8th Street is becoming less clear. It's becoming just not near as crisp.
And again, you know, the color separation is starting to wane a little bit. The reds are clipping more.
The gradation on the building that we liked, that you really like there, that's really not showing you that much.
In fact, the whole image feels like it's a little bit more one color than the other two are.
Wow. So now if we look at the Micro Four Thirds, does it have?
This technically shouldn't have been printed this big.
No, we had to. It was larger than 300 DPI.
Yeah.
So we had to drop below 300 DPI to get it up to this size. And you see it. I mean, the 9th and 8th Street is very, very fuzzy. I mean, there's just kind of
the big signs are really, really fuzzy.
It really is. You're losing a lot. Now, this is a 24-inch wide print.
Yeah.
I mean, it's holding its own. This camera really is great for video, and much better in that video application than it is in
snapshots.
stills. Yeah, snapshots. It's not really meant for making big prints.
And it is interesting how just the overall resolution of the brighter light sources tends to get softer and softer.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the street lights and the signs and stuff, they get more fuzzy and more fuzzy. And I'm not sure if that has to do with the resolution strictly or also has to do with the way that light is being shaped, because on these smaller sensors, the light is being focused onto a smaller area. And so the glass may have a harder time making clean lines, you know, when you're working with a smaller area.
It is interesting. Look at the star points on these. All the others except the Hasselblad have these multiple points.
Yeah.
Printing wise, if I'm going to print something if I'm doing landscape photography and I want beautiful big prints, I'm going to go at least with the A7 RIII. And the Hasselblad's pretty hard to beat. That larger format's hard to beat. And you know, it's just hard to beat because there's so much detail and it's going to give you a beautiful image. It's interesting because when I was out shooting with Shane Walls, he would not use like a 24mm lens if he had a big scene he wanted to see. He would use basically a 50mm lens. And even when the sun was coming up or down, he would shoot, 3 shots and stitch them together almost every time. So if he wanted a big panoramic or if he wanted a larger view, he wouldn't shoot at 24, he would shoot. So on a phase back, he's basically taking I think a 60 megapixel phase back. I believe that's.
Oh man.
And so he's taking 3 of those to make his one image, and that's giving you just the same amount of detail you get in the Hasselblad. But he's doing that in 3 pieces and stitching that together. The shot we saw was just absolutely gorgeous, but he shot it in 3 pieces as a vertical, and that sold really well in his gallery. So if you're into doing landscapes and you really want to make gorgeous prints, the color detail and the resolution you get on that Hasselblad, that medium format, is really where it's at. It's worthwhile. So here's a dynamic range test. We're doing this a little differently than we've done in the past, and let's just talk about it really quickly.
Yeah, so basically we've metered for my face inside, and we've taken an exposure that is proper for the inside, and of course the outside blows out like crazy. And then we basically shoot a series of exposures until the outside is what's exposed properly and the inside's really dark. And then we correct those and try and bring them all back to the right exposure. We're just going to do 3. We're going to do the brightest, the darkest, and 1 in the middle.
So there's about 7 stops between the inside and the outside. So 7 stops to make a correct exposure on his face between that and the outside. And you see right now, we're really exposed for inside. The outside is completely blown away. They all look pretty good. I mean, they look pretty similar.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the outside's obviously really hot and doesn't look great. And I mean, the shadow side of my face is still a little underexposed because of how we metered and everything. So you are going to see a little bit of grain in the shadows. Not really much on the Hasselblad, but I feel like you do see a little more on the on the GH5.
Yeah.
Especially if you look in the background of the cupboards and the tile and stuff.
Yeah. So let's take a look at the middle exposure here.
So this one is, this is a strategic exposure, as it were. If I were going to shoot this photo, this is probably what I'd do. The shadows are underexposed by about 3 stops. But then the highlights are only overexposed by 3 stops. So we're able in post to bring them back together, bring them into the right range.
But boy, in accomplishing that though, you've created a lot of grain in the shadows.
Yeah, I mean if I were really shooting this, I'd probably use a flash or something.
Yeah, you'd use a light source to balance these out because it's just too far.
Because you do, you know, if we punch in here on my eye, or you look at any shadowy part of the image, and there is grain there, even on the Hasselblad, which is a very clean camera. But if you compare the grain across all the cameras, you do see it get kind of worse and worse and worse the smaller the sensor gets. I mean, look at the Panasonic versus the GH5. The grain is really, really crazy.
So let's look at if you're exposed properly for the highlights. So now the shadows would be underexposed by 7 stops.
7 stops, yep.
And our highlights would be correctly exposed for outside. So we're going to see major problems inside in the shadows.
But even the Hasselblad isn't looking amazing here. You're seeing blotchy green, magenta, and green noise. But compared to the others, holy cow, especially the crop sensor camera is turning all red and gritty, and the GH5, there's almost no detail.
Major color shift, and it looks like it's a negative almost.
Yeah, it really does. The Sony held up okay, but there is a ton of banding, and it even reaches into my face. So I feel like if you're looking, I mean, we do see a direct comparison between the sensor size and the amount of dynamic range that the sensor has. Because that's what this is really about, is how much detail can the sensors hold across the range from bright to dark. And obviously the Hasselblad is seeing much further into the dark than, you know, the smaller sensors are. Even the Sony.
Yeah, even the Sony, which is interesting. So what did we learn? I'll tell you what I learned. I learned that it is exactly what you think it was going to be.
The more it costs, the nicer it is?
The more that larger sensor and that 50 megapixel gives you just a great amount of detail, color rendition, and it holds the ISO from creating noise. I mean, that sensor's doing what you're expected to do.
You know, it's funny because last time we did a similar format comparison, we were doing portraits and checking out the depth of field and stuff. I walked away from that test feeling like, I don't know if the medium format thing is really worth it, especially because there are a lot of compromises when it comes to speed and usability and things. But when you're shooting something like this and you're really looking at the color tonality and the detail and the dynamic range and stuff, it does make a difference. I feel like crop sensors even are kind of pushing it in terms of quality. If you're delivering professional work, if this is an amateur, if this is just for snapshots and stuff, it honestly doesn't matter, whatever you want. But for professional work, I really feel like, based on the images I've seen today, at least a full frame sensor camera.
Yeah, that full frame is pretty nice.
It's going to do really well, and if you can afford it, the medium format stuff is really nice. But again, there are compromises when you're shooting that way.
Yeah, you make a compromise between speed and quality.
And not to mention the cost.
Yeah, cost as well. If you can slow it down a little bit, and if you're doing landscapes, like you say, if you're doing architecture and you want to have a lot of detail in an image, that medium format is fabulous that way.
Yeah.
Or even fashion, you want a lot of detail in the clothing. You know, it makes sense to slow it down a little bit and to shoot and give yourself all that detail.
Yeah.
All right, interesting test. A lot of fun. Love looking at these kinds of things. So I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to us here at the Slanted Lens. Check out the things we're doing. We've got a great Patreon group going, so get over to Patreon, join our group. Love to have you be a part of our group. We're working on things every month and a lot of fun together. So keep those cameras rolling.
And keep on clicking.